The place of that wound reveals that Soldier Lizard was taking the damage instead. The feat to do this requires the substitute skill, and that lizard happens to have it. Rude sets its eyes on the substitute lizard and kills him in an instant before it can even react. Seeing his ghouls die, General jumps at Rude, though he seems to be already prepared for such scenarios. Rude activates Thread Manipulation, a spider native skill, and uses the silk thread to climb up. When the lizards gather around, hoping to catch Rude, he manipulates and casts the thread like a net to catch everyone. Since the monsters are now unable to move, he calls it his victory. Rude wastes no time in beheading the general. Now it's time for Rude to eat the lizards. He also thinks of using the bag he purchased with the money he got from the guild. The space inside the bag is expanded by magic, and the weight is completely reduced when it's closed. He takes out the utensils and seasonings for proper cooking this time. When he was on the hidden floor, he was just desperate to survive. Trying out some properly cooked meat was what he always wanted to try. Now it's time he eats something good. He chops the meat into slices and cooks those pieces in a frying pan. Before trying out the meat, he imagines how delicious it may be now that it's cooked, and soon takes the first bite to realize how heavenly and delicious the properly tended meat is. He believes that he might get addicted to the monster meat, because he never thought it would be good to that extent. While eating, Rude notices that he has got new skills. He once again regresses to the question, how can the monster meat be so good? He assumes that it could be related to the magical powers that monsters possess. The skills from the Minotaur Armor Spider and Evil Eye have been quite helpful. As for the monsters whose skills he hasn't tried yet, there's the Thunderwolf and the Black Serpent. Now all excited after consuming some exquisite monster meat, Rude decides that on his way back he is going to try eating more of a variety of monsters. When speaking of skills, he remembers that the lizard with the substitute skill was also there. After this, he dives into the 21st floor and continues his hunt. When fighting the monsters, he demonstrates a variety of different skills, including the Lightning Cloak, the one he acquired from the wolves. The monster swarm he just defeated was a pair of monsters specializing in inflicting status ailments. Moving on, he has the frog meat and insect dishes. It's time for him to feast on them. He uses those ingredients in cooking fried chicken. It turns out to be so good that he craves a beer combo with it. Just by taking a bite, Rude also acquires a set of some new skills: Venom, Temperature Variation, Poison Scale Powder, Paralysis Scale Powder, and Aerial Slash. While feasting on the tender frog meat, he hears a crashing sound followed by a human voice. He wonders if any other adventurers have made it this far in the labyrinth besides him. He quickly packs everything in his magic bag and rushes to investigate the cause. It's rare to find other parties in combat. He fancies exchanging the information with them, that is, if he finds them. Elsewhere, on the same floor of the Miasma Labyrinth, a party of adventurers has severely wounded a woman. It appears that the adventurers had a hard time battling the woman. One of the adventurers implies that the woman used magic to defend herself, and her use was in excess. The adventurer leading the party removes the hood of the woman's robe, and the woman is revealed to be an elf. While thinking about how much an elf woman would sell for, the adventurers hear Rude's voice from behind. As he is making a cold entry, he remarks that he was hoping for some friends, but it doesn't seem like these people would be that easily gullible. He comes out of the dark and says that he doesn't know their story, but he can't just stand idly by and watch a woman being attacked. The leader of the vicious adventurers party asks for Rude's introduction. The elf tells Rude to get out while he can, because the guys he is up against are adventurer hunters. Rude realizes that he has heard about these adventurers before him. They are all high-ranking adventurers. Rude can see through the adventurers' levels, but it's only levels that he can view. Status and skills aren't viewable. The leader of the party, Falzas, is a level 65 adventurer. Shocked by something quite strange, he contemplates if the adventurers have some kind of concealment skill or counter-magic tool. Falzas orders his companions to take Rude down. His party members were eager to attack Rude. They were impatiently waiting for his order. The first person to attack Rude is a psychopathic guy with his tongue out. Despite his shabby appearance, he is agile with great stamina. The psychopath applauds Rude for standing strong, and Rude tells him that it is because his opponent is weak, simply mocking the guy. The crazy adventurer is enraged by Rudy's funny comment and says that he is not weak and is going to prove it by smashing Rude's skull. Rude emotionally overpowers his opponent when he gets too close to Rude. He cleverly blocks the attack and immediately spits out venom through his mouth, using the skill Venom. Xarius, the psychopath, screams as his face begins to melt. The adventurers opposing Rude are taken aback seeing Rude spitting out venom. They conclude that he has become a monster. Rude himself knows that his way of fighting is reckless. It's completely unlike how a typical adventurer fights. But thorough, this is how a weak person like him has survived inside labyrinths. Falzas wonders if the poison used by Rude is a unique skill. He becomes wary of Rude and believes that he must not be underestimated. He tells his two other companions to charge together with him, and the three of them jump at Rude all at once. Rude does an incredible job of dodging the enemy attacks though. He understands that if he stops for even a second, he will get killed. Soon it is disclosed that Falzas is too quick for him, as Falzas kicks him in the face. However, at the right moment, Rudy activates the skill Steel Body, which protects him from not being hurt. Although Rude may have saved and absorbed the hit, the impact isn't completely sucked up, as he slips into a swamp. Falzas, being the strongest in his party, is sure that his hit could have broken Rude's neck. If he is still standing on his feet, then that means Rude is a tough warrior. One of the adventurers tells Rude that he is going to snuff out his life. However, instead of resuming the fight, Rude starts running in the opposite direction. Exasperated, the adventurer shouts at Rude to not start running now. With only revenge on his mind, the adventurer tries to follow Rude, but is stopped by Falzas, who reveals that the swamp is poisonous. It isn't guaranteed that someone would come alive after going any deeper into it. Falzas convinces his comrade to wait for Rude to come out of the swamp because there's no way he would be able to withstand the poisonous swamp either. Rude is frustrated. He wonders how long the adventurers are planning to stay near the poisonous swamp. He thinks he was lucky to have fallen into a poisonous swamp, on top of the usual miasma. The poisonous vapors around the swamp will also rapidly drain the adventurers' stamina. Soon after, this is proven to be accurate, as the adventurers are already drained of energy in about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, Rude is waiting for the adversaries to weaken, though he is well aware that if he takes any longer than this, it will become an even bigger burden on the elf since she's injured. Rude starts to take slow steps toward Falzas and the remaining adventurers. He asks them how they feel being affected by both poison and miasma. Falzas and his companion remark that Rude has caused them a lot of trouble, believing that Rude might also be out of stamina. Rude says that he is unaffected by any status abnormalities, so he doesn't know how much pain they all are feeling. Falzas feels tricked. He is surprised to see a nobody like Rude possessing the abnormal status nullification skill. Enraged, he orders his comrades to attack, and soon the fight resumes once again. However, the adventurers aren't able to keep up with Rude, due to the miasma accumulation inside their bodies which lowers their stats. Even their attempt to surprise attack Rude fails when he activates skill Steel Body to harden his body and then enables the skill Lighting Cloak. The effects of direct exposure to Lightning Cloak scorches them, though one adventurer still tries to fight back in the last-ditch effort. Rude uses the skill Aerial Slash as the finishing move to put everything to an end. The sheer amount of attacks pulled off by Rude has Falzas stunned. He asks Rude why in the world a human like him has a monster's skills. Rude replies that he has no obligation to tell Falzas. The fight between the adventurers' leader Falzas and the miasma scavenger begins. Falzas believes that even though he should be completely superior when it comes to fighting against humans, he is at a disadvantage because of the miasma. In a critical moment, Falzas uses the skill of Agility Enhancement and obtains a great extent of agile movement. In response, Rudy activates a physical boost and proves that power beats speed. The Force gets the job done. The level 65 Falzas is defeated by Miasma Scavenger. Rude acknowledges that if it weren't for the abnormal statuses, Falzas was just too clear of him. The elf woman shows gratitude to Rude, her savior. In response, he says that he couldn't have left her in that miserable situation. The elf tries to act brave, even though her body is still affected by the miasma. At the end of the day, he tries to find the reasoning behind seeing an elf in such a remote area, and what kind of circumstances she has to be chased by the adventurer hunters. The surprises never cease to come, as they are ambushed by a giant moth, a level 37 monster with pretty normal difficulty. Rude slays the monster while commenting that it can't win against him just by being big. He uses Aerial Slash, though he isn't able to finish it because of the unprecedented jump scare from the monster. The debris of the collision nearly hits the elf woman, but she luckily manages to prevent any injury from happening. Rude uses skill Aerial Slash, and this time, it deals great damage on the giant moth. However, the monster quickly recovers and attempts to use Paralyzing Scales on Rude, and the reign of the Paralyzing Scales begins. Confident, he tells the monster that paralysis doesn't work on him and overlooks the fact that the elf woman is also there, who may be an elf but doesn't possess any extraordinary powers or resistance. However, the elf woman seems to be prepared, as she uses wind magic to divert the direction of Scales, shocking Rude. Soon, Rude manages to slay the monster. The elf woman, mesmerized by Rudy's skill, asks him how Wonder Paralysis doesn't work on him. Moreover, she asks him why his skills are like a monster's. While he wonders how is he going to answer her, the elf woman falls on her knees. Concerned about her health, he asks her if she was hit by a paralyzing scale. She replies that it wasn't a paralyzing scale. This is something completely different. She will tell him her story when they get out of there. Resting under a heavenly tree, indulging in the beauty of nature, the elf woman feels much better. She introduces herself as Alicia, a former adventurer. Shocked, Rude asks her if she by any chance is the Alicia of the Emerald Storm. Azure Tales is a renowned S-rank party from the Kingdom of Ludius, and the girl sitting beside him happens to be a former member. However, he recalls hearing about the defeat of Azure Tails 5 years ago. On that day, Azure Tails challenged the monster dwelling in the deepest part of the S-rank labyrinth, the Abyssal Labyrinth. In that battle, Azure Tails practically lost everything. The party leader died, one adventurer had to retire due to severe injuries, and another one was swallowed by the labyrinth. Alicia reveals that even she didn't come out unscathed. She attempts to show him a mark of some kind of curse to Rude, but he gets flustered and asks her what she is trying to do. Alicia shows him the curse engraved on her chest. She explains that it's the curse of leveling her strength down. She tried every possible method to break it, but all she could do was slow its progression. She says that she doesn't even know what she is cursed with. The adventurer party from earlier knew about her curse and wanted to benefit from it. As Alicia speaks about how she would die once her level reaches 0, she starts to get a slightly bit emotional. After hearing her heart-wrenching story, Rude suddenly realizes that he might be of some help. After this, he takes out a skill substitute card that allows him to select a target and says that he wants to try something. He asks Alicia if she can take on the skill that he is about to activate, and the elf agrees to cooperate. Soon the process of extracting Alicia's curse begins. Rude places his right hand on her shoulder and activates skill substitute. She notices that her curse is transferring to him, something she didn't expect. Alicia tries to stop him, but he reassures her that everything is okay, and asks for her trust. Soon, another one of his skills, Abnormal Status Nullification, is automatically activated. The manifestation of Alicia's curse begins to disappear. The process ends without any kind of issues, and the curse on her is successfully removed. Rude himself is quite satisfied with how well his skills worked out. Since Alicia has never seen a human using monster skills, she asks what was just now. Rude asks Alicia to check her guild card, and when she takes a look at her status, it turns out to be normal. He explains that his unique skill is Abnormal Status Nullification. He tried it on her because he believed it might be able to nullify her curse. She calls him an idiot for taking such immense risks, but dearly appreciates him for helping her, someone he just met. Rude and Alicia are having dinner at the Full Belly restaurant. Alicia is enjoying the food and the quality of the alcohol. She gives kudos to Rude for discovering such a good place. However, he doesn't know how to respond to her because they got kicked out last time. Seeing her drinking too much alcohol, he asks her if she's okay with drinking that much because she was badly injured just a moment ago. She says that she has recovered. And besides, on an auspicious day, such as this one, how could one not drink? Not long after, Rude asks Alicia what she plans to do from now on. She reveals that she doesn't have a solid destination that she could go to, and wishes to know more about Rude. And why did he decide to become an adventurer? Long ago, the village he lived in was attacked by monsters. He lost his family, friends, and people he was acquainted with. But thanks to an S-rank adventurer who rushed over to the scene, he was able to survive. That's something he will never forget. He wanted to become an S-rank adventurer like his savior, hoping that he could save a lot of people. Alicia says that it's a nice goal to have because that's something she also dreamed of reaching. She intends to gain more than she had before she was cursed. Moreover, she is certain that her companions are still trapped in the deepest part of the Abyssal Labyrinth. Whatever the outcome may be, she wants to challenge that horrific monster once again. Alicia offers a deal of joining forces until they both gain enough strength to achieve their goals. She suggests they form a party together and reaches out to Rude to make this official. When Rude is about to decline her proposal, a group of thugs catch Alicia from her wrist and make fun of Rude for drinking with a beautiful girl. They are the same people who called him trash and bullied him in this same restaurant before he was deceived by Scarlet Sword. They approach Alicia offering her a drink, but Rudy tells them to let her go. This angers them, and one of the bullies grabs Rude from the collar. Before the conflict intensifies, she stops them both. She suggests, since they are in a pub, they should settle it by seeing who can drink the most. Even though she suggested that Rude and the bullies should settle it with a drinking contest, she takes part in it instead of Rude. When the night falls, their friendly contest ends with Alicia coming out as the triumphant one, though she is also high as hell. Rude compliments Alicia, telling her that she did great because she had already drunk quite a lot before the drinking contest. She speaks up that she hasn't fallen so low that she would sit still. She remarks that as her speech slurs. Not long after that, she passes out. Rude uses the skill substitute to transfer her drunkenness to himself, allowing her to be sober again. Engrossed by Rude's substantial number of unique skills, she says that they must form a party together, and once again begins drinking. After liquoring up, Alicia stares at the special dish of the Full Belly restaurant, a salt-grilled Barnuma, though she seems to be already aware that she can't try it. The manager explains that a monster has taken up residence in the Barnuma's fishing grounds. He has notified the guild, but it appears that none of the top adventurers are currently available. The manager asks them if they would like to take on the request. Soon after, our adventurers travel to the Barnuma's fishing grounds, a place that is in complete harmony with nature. Both Rude and Alicia are excited to be in such a visually striking place. Their luck meets no end, as they are immediately attacked by the monsters they come to hunt. However, what they called the luck soon turned into a nightmare. They are surrounded by an unfathomable number of monsters. The monsters they are facing are known as Gurnib. It is a level 23 with stats proportional to its level. The monsters attack by spitting out water with great applied pressure. The monsters are not just a few. The number of water bullets he is fighting against is too many. He can't avoid all those attacks if he is using the boat as a foothold. He jumps out of the boat and dives into the water. He does it to grab the Gurnib's attention. When every monster that was targeting the boat saw an even easier prey, they prioritized eating Rude. When the monsters get closer, he activates Lightning Cloak to electrocute the monsters. Rude's special attack allows him to defeat a majority of the Gurnibs. However, some Gurnibs are too deep underwater and do not attack him in the first wave. He tries to decipher the meaning behind the puzzling situation. Before he dives in deeper, he informs Alicia about what he is going to do and also tells her that he needs her help with something. Shortly after, he ties the rope around his waist and dives in. Soon he reaches the point where a swarm of Gurnib monsters are lurking around aimlessly. He is surprised when none of the monsters attack him. Through logical and critical thinking, he realizes that the monsters behave oddly, like they are protecting someone, or maybe something. Regardless of what he observed, he continued to descend deeper. Suddenly he notices something with a lot of tentacles. Because of the blurry vision, he isn't able to see anything clearly. He uses the appraisal to see the newly discovered monster's stats. The hermit crab-like thing Rude is seeing happens to be a level 38 monster named Tentacles, with relatively high health points, multiple times higher than its natural agility. Rude witnesses the monster tentacles giving birth to Gurnib with its tentacles. As soon as the Gurnib are out of the pockets, they become fierce. If Rudy doesn't defeat the tentacles, there's no point in continuously killing the Gurnib. Since the monster isn't showing any sign of attacking, he decides to make some preparations first. However, what he initially assumed was the case wasn't precisely the case, as the monster, which is supposed to be protected by the Gurnib, is attacking Rude all of a sudden. Moreover, Gurnibs are also not relenting down. The reason Gurnibs weren't attacking him earlier was because they were trying to take his attention off of the feeler. Rude uses Lightning Cloak to avoid being eaten by the Gurnibs. Since the monster has wrapped its arms around Rude and he seems to be embracing that moment, he tries using Lightning Cloak again to locate the monster's vulnerabilities. However, the giant monster cuts off its feelers before it gets electrocuted. Stunned, he remembers seeing the autotomy skill. Since it immediately cut off its feelers as soon as it was struck by the lightning, it managed to avoid a fatal injury. Soon the position changes from Rude spectating the monster to the monster jumping over him. When he is about to run out of breath, he signals Alicia to pull the rope. Alicia uses her wand and pours some of her magic onto the rope to push it efficiently, leaving the monster devastated. Now lying down on the bank of the Barnabas fishing grounds, he is reducing stress by staying in a nonchalant position. When Alicia asks him if he is okay, Rude says that he is doing okay, all thanks to her efforts. After recuperating, Rude informs her about a boss deep underwater continuously producing Gurnibs. Moreover, the boss uses the accelerated healing skill, so he can't waste any more time. Alicia says that the monsters have a huge advantage over them in the water, so her magic won't work down there either. She asks him if he has a second plan. He speaks about a way, but quickly stops and reflects on the time he spent in the miasma labyrinth, eating monsters for the first time. Since Alicia told him about her curse and even formed a party with him, he thinks that he is also obligated to share his secrets with her, and that must be done before she replies. He asks Alicia to not tell anyone about what he is about to show her. Before long, he dives into the water with a new skill, high-speed swimming, enabling him to kill several Gurnibs in a single swing seamlessly. After outmaneuvering Gurnibs, he sets his eyes on the giant monster. The monster tries attacking him with its feelers, but Rude is too fast to be even bothered. He finds the weak point of the monster and wastes no time in penetrating his sword into its face. To top it off, he uses Lightning Cloak. The giant monster has departed this life. The blood is gushing out of its body. With this, the fishing grounds should return to their peaceful state. However, the problem is Alicia. She saw him devouring a monster. He wonders how is she feeling after seeing something not very human-like, and what she will say when he goes back. Rude comes out of the Barnabas River, hoping to see Alicia waiting for him. When he looks around and doesn't find her anywhere around, he wonders why he even assumed she would still be there. However, as soon as he gets out of the water, Rude is welcomed by her. Alicia reveals that she just can't sit still while waiting, so she starts gathering some branches for the campfire because it is going to help them dry their clothes, especially Rude. Seeing Alicia in her usual demeanor, he asks her if she is okay after seeing him doing a taboo. Alicia replies that it did surprise her quite a bit. However, he trusted her enough to reveal his secret. That is enough to make her happy. Rude thanks Alicia for being generous. He remembers that he cut a part off the boss to get it